Hey there, I just wanted to make a little video about one of my recent obsessions, which is ColourPop eyeshadow palettes. They are my jam. As you can see, I've got a few to go through today. Now, I will say that I just recently started getting into ColourPop as far as their products go. I always liked everything that I ever tried from them, but I didn't own a lot of their items until pretty recently. I had a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I just wasn't using, didn't like, things like that, but I recently went through them, got rid of the ones that I didn't like, and purchased new ones that I do, with the hope of not wasting money on palettes I was never going to use, things like that. So today I wanted to go through the palettes that I have currently. They did recently release a mauve collection, which I'm kind of living for, and I don't have it yet. Maybe for my birthday. We'll see. It's coming up. But I wanted to just go through the palettes that I have, show you how I've used them, let you know if I even haven't used them yet. I have so many to get through. So let's just get started. Where do we want to start? Let's start with It's My Pleasure. So I always joke that purples are my neutrals. I have brown eyes and a fairly fair complexion. So purples, jewel tones, they really look nice for me. So as you can see, I've used it a little bit, like the shade. Not a ton of use yet. I've only used it a handful of times because I also have the lilac palette. And since it's getting to be springtime right now, I haven't used these deeper colors so much yet. I'm really interested in this fan fiction one. That's fan fiction and Chicklet were the two that really sold me on this palette. Everything else I was kind of unsure about, but I really like this like pinky color, and then this deep purple is just gorgeous. So that's It's My Pleasure. Now, since we just talked about it, let's go to Lilac You a Lot. This is one that I heard you don't necessarily need both unless you really like purple, which is me. So I did end up buying both. As you can see, they are pretty similar color story-wise. Like the Wake Me is kind of similar to Earthshine, only Wake Me leans a little more pink. And this Iffy, I was iffy, pardon the bad joke, if it would be similar to Chicklet, and it's not. It's very matte, whereas Chicklet is a lot more like satin, not quite glittery, but it definitely has a shine to it. Then one of the colors I really love, I've obviously used Cloud quite a bit. It's gorgeous. But this Ghostin', it doesn't look like I've used it much, but it's gorgeous. And that's Lilac You a Lot. Now, let's get into some pinks. Let's look at Ooh La La. This was, I guess, ColourPop's first monochromatic palette. I love this palette. So I love pinks. I love purples. They really complement my skin tone. They complement my eye color. They're just where my life's at. So this palette really spoke to me. Not so much the shade Soft Core. To me, it's a little more, like it's a little more neutral, but I guess for most people, they really like that. This Big Sugar is amazing. I used this recently for a party that was unicorn themed. And I used this color in my crease with a couple of the shades from Lilac You a lot. And oh, it was awesome. And I used Opulent as an eyeliner color. It was a lot of look, but I really loved it. As you can see, my Tickled shade is pretty loose. It's really shimmery. It's really beautiful, but it's not super pressed. And that's Ooh La La. Now this is one that I slept on. This is Strawberry Shake, which initially I thought Strawberry Shake and Mean Squeeze were too similar, because Strawberry Shake, I thought it was going to be a lot more red than it was. I don't know why I thought that. But as you can see, my shade, it's called Delish. It straight up fell out. So I kind of had to press it back in there, hope for the best. But the rest of this palette, oh, it's so pretty. This palette is such a good complementary palette to the next one we're going to talk about. But as you can see, it's got like some lighter pinks, like this whipped shade. Gorgeous. And then this Woke is pretty similar to Poodle from Ooh La La, but it's a little more warm toned. I'm really into it. This Take a Sip, you can hardly see it, but it has a lot of shimmer to it. It's really beautiful in the crease. I can't wait to use this in the summer and just like really sheer it out so it's just light, light, light. I'm sure it'll be amazing. So then this color, or this palette, like I said, is a good palette to use in conjunction with Baby Got Peach. So this one, even though it has a pressed glitter, which is this Hungry Ghost, I love this palette. Now, Hungry Ghost, it's a chunky glitter. I've never used it, but I've swatched it and it's so pretty, but I just can't put it on my eyes. I'm too scared. This palette though, with my brown eyes and my skin tone, it's gorgeous. It just brings such a summery, sunny vibe, which with all the like not so great weather we've been having, it's almost spring. I've really been itching for it. Recently I did a look with all the shimmers in this palette. So the Ready or Yacht, the Glaze It, and the Get Even. And it was awesome. It blended out so well. The mattes in this palette are really good too, but I just kind of wanted something shimmery all over. You know, you get in those moods. So that is the Baby Got Peach palette, which again, bummed that there's a pressed glitter in it because I'm too scared to use it on my eye. But overall, it's a really good palette. I definitely love it. So now let's move on to the Blush Crush and Nude Mood. So these two, I'll start with Nude Mood because I grabbed it first. So Nude Mood and Blush Crush came out a couple months ago. It feels like a long time, but that's because ColourPop releases new stuff like every week. But it really wasn't that long ago. So this one, when these first came out, especially Nude Mood, I was so bored. I mean, everyone on like Reddit was loving it, talking about how gorgeous it was, and I was like, am I missing something? Am I wrong? But with that, as soon as I saw them in person and saw swatches of them, I knew that if I got these two palettes, I really wouldn't need another nude palette again. Because I don't wear a lot of nudes. I wear a lot of bright colors. I don't need nudes. Thankfully, with my job, I'm able to like wear all the bright colors I want. The shade Wink Wink is a Super Shock shadow, and it is gorgeous. So pretty. But that's Nude Mood. This one I've used a handful of times. It's really good for what it is, for just like a nude, neutral palette. It's really good. Now, used in conjunction with that, I'll occasionally use Blush Crush with it together. This one I've definitely used a lot more than Nude Mood, simply because I lean more towards pinks than I do like neutral browns. So this is perfect for me. It's everything I wanted in a nude palette. I actually destashed my Naked 3 palette and replaced it with Blush Crush and Nude Mood. This pop-up bottle is a Super Shock shadow, and I love it. It's like it's got such a good pink shift to it that doesn't really do it justice on camera, but oh man, it's so pretty. And this Enamored too, this has a nice shift to it. As far as this one goes, I haven't used a lot of the dark shades like this Blush Wine or this How Rouge, but Blossom Up is like my go-to crease color. If I don't know what I'm doing for the day, I'll start there. So those two have fully replaced my like Naked 3 palette. I just don't need it. It's just not worth it. So now let's get into the Mar palette. This palette caught my eye after watching a review because I love a good blue to use as like an eyeliner, and especially this Gridlock. It's like a teal. And then of course this Highway shade. I love mint green. And it's kind of like a tealy green. It's really beautiful. And then since I was looking at more neutral colors, since this has the majority of, you know, more neutral shades, they're very warm, very summery. I've only used this palette once, and it's phenomenal. I know I'm going to use it a lot in the summertime, just like go full bore into those like summer looks. And if I were to go to the beach, this would be the palette I take, just because it's got such a beachy vibe. I just really love it. But yeah, I haven't used it a ton yet because I have so many other palettes to get to. But maybe I'll use this one when like summer picks up, when it gets like a little more sunny and warm. And I just want that like summertime look. Now the last of my 9 pens might be my favorite just because I love mint green. And it's meant to be. Because of course it is. I do also have the Just My Luck palette, but I'm not into it. It's really dark. It's not quite what I expected. This is though. So this one is gorgeous. I love doing a look with seltzer or ice cold in my crease, and then mint tea, mojito mommy, and play it cool over my lid, and just going really hard in the mint green. I didn't think this palette would work for me because it's so cool toned, but it's actually pretty phenomenal. I've gotten a lot of use out of it so far, and it just calls my name. I'd say at least like once a week. At least once a week I'm busting it out and using it. So that's mint tea. Now, this one I had to have. This is the Sailor Moon. It's the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon eyeshadow palette. And it's so lovely for spring. It's got that like iridescent kind of like shimmer around the shades. And then of course it has the lenticular cover on it, which I also super love. Now, this palette is mostly neutral. I got this to use to supplement like Nude Mood, but also like those 4 shades here on the bottom. They are all perfect with these 4 shades on the top. And then the ones in the middle, they're good like accent colors, like this shade Luna. It's pretty light, but it looks really good as just like a wash of color. Now this one is a pressed glitter, which I also have not used. I swatched it and it's really pretty, but I'm still too afraid to use it on my eyes. And then I hear that the Silver Millennium is also a Super Shock shadow, but I'm not sure. Maybe it says on the back. No, it doesn't say. And I've heard conflicting things, whether or not it's a Super Shock or not. But I have used this yellow and this coral together. And oh man, they are gorgeous together. I was a little afraid. I created a new word based on that yellow, which is intimirested. I was intimirested by it. So then I have the ColourPop My Little Pony palette. I am very into Pinkie Pie. She's like who I wish I could be. She's just always so happy and ready to play, and I'm into it. Now, this shade got a little bit of water damage, but I'm hoping that it'll be okay. I haven't used this one a ton, just a handful of times. I actually bought it recently off of Mercari. But that's this palette. I really, really love it though. So that is the My Little Pony. I think these like corally orange colors would be really good together, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So that's the My Little Pony palette. And last but not least, we have the Disney Villains Misunderstood palette. This palette really spoke to me from just the bright colors in it, the holographics, the iridescent packaging, I mean. And just, it seems like such a good, vibrant palette. I haven't used it a ton. I think I've pretty much only used like Flotsam, Forest of Thorns, Mongrels. Not a ton of use yet. But this Diablo color is gorgeous in real life. It's like a chartreuse, like a gold green. It's just beautiful. I can't wait to use this one more, but I have so much to work through. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. As far as this palette goes, it's really beautiful. I think I'll use it more like in the fall for like these 3 shades down here because they're so dark, and then they have this shiny black, which would be good as a, it'd be really good as like a liner color if you wanted to go really dark. And then there's like a straight up black. I also really like this like more cobalt blue. It's beautiful. But yeah, so those are all of my ColourPop palettes. I don't think I could rank them even if I had to, because they're just all so different, and they all have different things that speak to me. But as far as the ColourPop palettes go, I can't wait to get more. I won't be someone who like buys them for the sake of buying them, but like the mauve palette really speaks to me. I think that's about the only one that really speaks to me as far as palettes go. It also came with some Super Shock shadows, which I'll have a different video talking about my Super Shock, Jelly Much, basically everything else that I have of ColourPop. But I wanted to make a palette video just to kind of talk about what I have, show you what they look like. There are a lot of swatches out there. Personally, I use Temptalia for all my swatches because their skin tone is really similar to mine, so it's really easy to kind of match that all up. As far as the palettes go, there are a couple I've had my eye on, but I think pretty much just the like mauve palette is probably the only one that I'll actually pick up. Everything else is kind of just there, you know? It's not really anything I need. Like Blue Moon is another one that I really like, but I don't know how much I'll actually use it, so I don't want to pick it up and have it just kind of sit around. But those are all of my palettes. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day or night or whatever time it is for you. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.